to our YouTube channel. In today's video, we will be talking about having your sun in your partner's 12th house. Yes, and just before we get into it, we just want to remind you guys to please be sure to hit the like button if you like the video, and if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to the channel and share the video if you can. That really helps the channel too. So without further ado, let's get into this. Okay, so when we are talking about the 12th house, we are talking about a house that has a lot to do with the mysterious. It's a house that has to do with seclusion and isolation, and also is a house of things hidden and self-undoing. So this is also a house that has to do with your hidden enemies, as well as foreign lands and the occult. So the 12th house is a house that is ruled by the dreamy water sign Pisces, which is ruled by the planet Neptune. A planet known to create fog and is often associated with creating illusions. Pisces is a sign that is also symbolized by the fish. And you know, one thing I always think about when I think about Pisces and the 12th house is the story of those mermaid-like creatures that are known as, I think they're known as deep sea sirens. I'm definitely not calling anybody a siren here. I'm just using that story to illustrate the effect, of Neptune and the 12th house. This one could be similar to having a 8th house overlay of your sun in your partner's 8th house, except that in the case of having the sun in your partner's 12th house, the people are a lot less conscious of what's happening. The two people who are involved are a little bit less conscious of what exactly is going on, as this house has a lot to do with illusions. So it might be a little bit more foggy and difficult to discern what is exactly going on. Most of the impulses and drives and behaviors of the partners involved in this overlay are more unconscious. And so they are stemming from a subconscious place, and it's not necessarily that their choices are led by conscious decisions. All 12th house overlays can generally teach people a lot about themselves, because it generally creates an experience that reveals things about ourselves that we didn't even know about ourselves. Just because these parts of ourselves are, they may be buried in our subconscious. These things include dark parts of ourselves that aren't revealed to ourselves. So our personality's dark side that we've shunned, kind of like a shadow side. And the 12th house overlays usually bring these deeply buried things up to the surface. The shadow self can be anything that we've deemed as being bad or shameful, those parts of ourselves that we've shunned, really. And it could be, examples of this could be like addictions, codependence, low self-esteem, bad habits, obsessions, and so forth. Also, another thing that Neptune does is that it tends to blur the boundaries, And so partners with this overlay may also have difficulties with when it comes to setting boundaries or keeping boundaries, and even just identifying boundaries. Neptune can make things very unclear when it comes to that. The overlay can also have a little bit of a theme of like self-sacrifice, because the 12th house is also the house of that represents, it's the last house, you know, so it's the house of the end, you know, it's the house where things come to die. However, not to be confused with the 8th house, which is the house of death. It's a different kind of death when it comes to the 12th house. It's more like, it's more spiritual, the type of dying, especially like a sacrificial sort. It's got a more spiritual overlay to it than the 8th house one. 12th house overlays in general just work best if both partners are enlightened. These overlays, when it comes to this house, usually require a lot of patience from both partners. The 12th house is the house of things hidden. This sometimes may also be the type of relationship that is kept secret or is very private, and it could require or result from a lot of sacrifice from either one of the partners or both. While it can be shaded in most cases by some sort of emotional pain or heartache, having this overlay usually has the power to trigger an emotional awakening from both of the partners who are involved. So what happens with this overlay is that the sun person usually views the house person as being, like, they see them as being almost very foreign to them, you know, or even exotic, like they come from another planet or something like that. Sun person just sees the house person as being kind of like otherworldly. In fact, to the sun person, this whole experience is very intriguing and also kind of like very strange, but also fascinating at the same time to the sun person. And you know, because of Neptune's fog, the sun person actually tries they try their very best, you know, to read and to understand their house partner, who they see as being very foreign from them and different from them. It's actually really hard for the sun person to read the house partner, because, you know, things are very blurry with Neptune's effect in this house. So this can cause a lot of misunderstandings, you know. The partners don't really understand each other. They see each other as so foreign. But at the same time, this thing of constantly trying to read and understand their partner is what really, it still fascinates and interests the sun person. It keeps the sun person very curious and inquisitive. So as said before, this connection, or SYNASTRY overlay rather, is the type that requires a lot of patience, because both partners in this SYNASTRY overlay can tend to feel very misunderstood by each other, as there is that Neptunian fog effect in the relationship. At times cause a lot of confusion between the two partners, which can be detrimental to the relationship if the two partners are not patient with one another. Okay guys, so that does it for this video on having your sun in your partner's 12th house. Thanks for joining us and being with us on this journey of the sun through the houses in SYNASTRY. While you're here, we just want to remind you to please be sure to hit the like button if you liked the video, give this channel a subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to stay tuned for more videos. Yes, have a good one, guys. Bye.